أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وَاذْكُرْ فِي الْكِتَابِ مُوسَى and mention in the book Musa alayhi salam. Musa alayhi salam is mentioned in the Quran in almost every single juz. He's mentioned in the Quran a lot. So وَاذْكُرْ فِي الْكِتَابِ Musa, mention him again. إِنَّهُ كَانَ, indeed he was, مُخْلَصًا, one who is sincere or one who is chosen. Mukhlas is from the root letters Kha, Lam, Sad. And Mukhlas is ism maf'ul, and literally it means one who has been chosen, one who has been selected. But Mukhlas is used for someone who has been chosen on the basis of their pure-heartedness, their being sincere, their being dedicated. So indeed he was a Mukhlas, he was chosen, he was selected. Selected by who? By Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What was he selected for? What was he chosen for? What was special about him that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him exclusively? That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala spoke to him. So he was chosen to speak to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala directly. And also he was chosen for certain messages that he had to deliver to the people. He was chosen for prophethood. In Surah Al-A'raf, ayah 144, we learn, قَالَ يَا مُوسَى إِنِّي اصْطَفَيْتُكَ عَلَى النَّاسِ بِرِسَالَاتِي وَبِكَلَامِي. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, O Musa, I have chosen you over the people with my messages and also my words to you. So he was chosen in two ways. By being given messages, by being made a prophet, and also by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaking to him directly. وَكَانَ رَسُولًا, and he was a messenger, نَبِيًّا, a prophet. We see over here, two titles are given to Musa alayhi salam. That first of all, Rasul, and secondly, Nabi. With regards to Ibrahim alayhi salam, what did we learn? إِنَّهُ كَانَ صِدِّيقًا نَبِيًّا. Over here we see two. Some scholars, they differentiate between Rasul and Nabi. That some who were given wahi, they were Rasul, and others were Nabi. There's a difference between the two. And other scholars do not differentiate between the two. That Rasul and Nabi is the same, and both the terms can be used interchangeably. Because when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala uses the word Rasul to refer to His messenger, it is because in the context that term is more relevant. And if the word Nabi is mentioned, it's because in the context the term Nabi is more relevant. So there's a difference of opinion amongst the scholars. Some say there's a difference, others said that no, it's the same, it's just two different descriptions, and depending on the context, one of them is used, or both are used. And over here we see that both are being used. Now, those who say there is a difference, what is that difference? They say that Rasul is from Risala, and Risala is what? Message. And Rasul is someone who has been given a message to deliver to the people. Who has been given a new law. Okay? Which means that the law that was being practiced by the people before will now be abrogated. Like for example, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he was a Rasul. What do we say? Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluhu. He was a Rasul. Why? Because he was given a new law, a new Sharia. The Torah, it was given to Musa alayhi salam. The Injil was given to Isa alayhi salam. But now we have been given a new scripture, a new law to follow. We will not follow what Musa alayhi salam brought, what Isa alayhi salam brought. What are we supposed to follow? What Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam brought. So Rasul is someone who has been given a new Sharia. And a Nabi, on the other hand, is not someone who has been given a new Sharia, but rather he has been sent to revive the Sharia. Okay? He has been sent to revive the Sharia that was brought by the previous messenger. Like for example, Musa alayhi salam, he was a Rasul, he was given the Torah. After Musa alayhi salam, several prophets came. Isn't it so? So many. Sulaiman alayhi salam, Dawood alayhi salam. Right? Zakaria alayhi salam. All of these prophets, when did they come? After Musa alayhi salam. And all of them, they were sent to who? To the Bani Israel in particular. And when they came, they did not bring a new law. What did they do? They told the people to follow the Torah. Isn't it so? They did not bring a new law, but rather they came to revive the law. Because the people had forgotten, they were not practicing properly. They had strayed away from it. They needed more guidance. Therefore, the prophets were sent. So this is one difference that is given between Rasul and Nabi. There are other differences that are given as well. However, this one is sufficient. But remember that over here, Musa a.s. is called a Rasul and a Nabi. Why? For two reasons. Because, first of all, every Rasul is a Nabi as well. Every Rasul is a Nabi as well. Whereas every Nabi is not a Rasul. How? Think about it. A Rasul is given a new message to deliver. But at the same time, he is also reminding the people of what they're supposed to do. Right? And remember that following the new law is a part of following the previous law. How? That the Bani Israel, they were supposed to believe what was mentioned in the Torah and the Injil, and as a result of that, believe in the Quran. They were told in their scriptures that the last messenger will come. So when they would believe in the Prophet ﷺ, what would they be doing in reality? Following the book that was given to them before. But from that point onwards, what law are they supposed to live by? The Quran. Okay, so every Rasul is a Nabi as well. But every Nabi is not Rasul. Secondly, it is said that Musa a.s. is called Rasul al-Nabiyya because the word Nabi over here is not being used for prophet. But rather the word Nabi is being used in its literal sense. And what does the word Nabi literally mean? It is said that Nabi is from the root letters Noon, Ba, Waw, from the word Nabwa. And Nabwa is a dune, it's a high place. So a Nabi is someone who is on a high position, who has a very high status. So Musa a.s. was a Rasul, but what kind of a Rasul was he? Of a very high status. And what was that very high status? That he was from the Ulul Azm. He was from those messengers who were given a lot of determination. So, وَكَانَ رَسُولًا نَبِيًّا وَنَادَيْنَاهُ, and we called him, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala called him, مِنْ جَانِبِ الطُّورِ, from the side of the Tur. Janib is the side, a part, section of something. And Tur is mount. So we called him from the side of the mount. Which side of the mount? Al-Ayman, the right one. Al-Ayman is from the root letters Ya, Mim, Noon. And Ayman is that which is on the right, most right, far right. And it's also said that Ayman is that which is full of barakah, that which is blessed. Because the Arabs, they associated a lot of blessing with the right. So we called him from the side of the mountain at the right. What does it mean by this, at the right? Meaning that side of the mountain that was on Musa a.s.'s right side. As he was traveling from Madian, the mountain was on his right side. And from that right side of the mountain, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala called him. That is where Musa a.s. heard Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَقَرَّبْنَاهُ, and we brought him near. نَجِيًّا, confiding to him. In private conversation. Naji from the root letters, Noon, Jim, Waw, from the word Najwa, which is a private conversation. When two or more people are talking privately without letting anybody else know about what they're talking about. A private conversation. And when someone is invited to have a private conversation with someone, it elevates their status. Doesn't it? They become special. So وَقَرَّبْنَاهُ نَجِيًّا, We brought him close for private talk. He spoke to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala without any intermediary. We learned that Musa alayhi salam, he was in Egypt, and when he killed a man by mistake, the people of Fir'aun, they were looking for Musa alayhi salam in order to kill him. So Musa alayhi salam, what did he do? He left Egypt, and he ran away, and he ended up where? In Madian. When he was in Madian, he lived there for 10 years. He got married over there, he had a family over there. And after 10 years, he traveled from Madian with his wife, with his family. And as he was traveling on the journey, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala honored him with prophethood, and He honored him to be spoken to. We learn, فَلَمَّا آتَاهَا نُودِيَ يَا مُوسَى. When he came over there, he was called out, O Musa. وَوَهَبْنَا لَهُ. And we gifted to him, مِنْ رَحْمَتِنَا. From our mercy. Who did we gift him? أَخَاهُ. His brother. Which brother of his? Haruna. And how was he a gift for him? That his brother Harun was made a Nabi, a prophet. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gifted Musa alayhi salam with his brother being a very big support for him. And how did he become a very big support for him? That his brother Harun was also made a prophet of Allah. So both of them were given the responsibility to go and release the Bani Israel from Fir'aun and guide the Bani Israel. Now, imagine facing the Fir'aun. Just imagine. And imagine dealing with a people like that of Bani Israel. It was a very difficult work. Isn't it? So now imagine you have another person to help you, to support you. So your work is shared. Your responsibility is shared. This was a big gift for Musa alayhi salam. Because when a huge task is given to only one person to perform, it becomes very difficult for them. And if they have even one supporter, even one who shares the responsibility with them, it's a big relief. We learn in Surah Taha, ayah 29 onwards, that Musa alayhi salam, he prayed to Allah, that وَجَعَلْ لِي وَزِيرًا مِّنْ أَهْلِي. And make for me an assistant, a helper from my family. Harun akhi. And he specified that, O Allah, make my brother Harun my helper. Ushdud bihi azri. Strengthen me with him. وَأَشْرِكْهُ فِي أَمْرِي. And share him in my affair. Give him a share in my matter. Another place we learn, هُوَ أَفْصَحُ مِنِّي لِسَانًا. He said, O Allah, my brother Harun, he is more eloquent than me in speech. فَأَرْسِلْهُ مَعِيَ رِدْءًا. So send him with me as a support. يُصَدِّقُنِي. He will confirm me. إِنِّي أَخَافُ أَن يُكَذِّبُونِي. I'm afraid that Fir'aun and his people are going to reject me. So this was a big gift on him that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accepted his dua, and He made Harun alayhi salam a prophet as well. What's the lesson that we learn from what is mentioned of Musa alayhi salam before we continue? Share one lesson that we learn from what is mentioned of Musa alayhi salam. If we go in the way of Allah, Allah will provide help from those who are closest to us. You see, Zakaria alayhi salam, he was given a son. Yahya alayhi salam, who was also a prophet. From his own family he got support. Ibrahim alayhi salam, yes, his father rejected him, but Allah gave him support again from who? From his children, from his grandchildren. We see over here again, Musa alayhi salam, he needed help, he needed support. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him his brother. When a person helps the cause of Allah, Allah will give him help. He will face challenges, he will face difficulties, but Allah will never leave him alone. وَاذْكُرْ فِي الْكِتَابِ إِسْمَاعِيل. And mention in the book Ismail alayhi salam. Who was Ismail alayhi salam? Son of Ibrahim alayhi salam. إِنَّهُ كَانَ. Indeed he was صَادِقَ الْوَعْدِ. One who is true to promise. He was very true in the promise that he had made. What promise did he make? When his father had a dream that I have been told to slaughter you, what did he say? Ya abati if'al ma tu'mar. In Surah As-Safat, ayah 102, we learned that he said, O my father, do what you have been commanded. سَتَجِدُنِي إِنْ شَاءَ اللَّهُ مِنَ الصَّابِرِينَ. Insha'Allah, Allah willing, you will find me of those who are patient. It's not that I'm just making this promise right now, go ahead and do what you're supposed to, and when the time comes I'll run away, I'll disappear. No. He was true to his promise. إِنَّهُ كَانَ صَادِقَ الْوَعْدِ. He was true to his promise. وَكَانَ رَسُولًا. And he was also a messenger, and a nabiyya, a prophet, or he was a messenger of an exalted status. So Rasul and Nabiyya can be understood as both. He was a messenger and he was also a Nabi. And secondly, he was a Rasul but of a high status. وَكَانَ يَأْمُرُ. And what was special about Ismail alayhi salam? That he used to order, he used to command, أهله, his family. Remember the word ahl is used for family, especially wife. But the word ahl also applies to followers, just as ahlul kitab. So وَكَانَ يَأْمُرُ أَهْلَهُ. He used to order his family, or he used to order his people, his qawm. بِالصَّلَاةِ, with the salah, وَالزَّكَاةِ, and the zakat. And notice the word kana. Kana means was, past tense, right? But when the word kana appears before fi'l mudari', like over here, kana ya'muru, it gives the meaning of madi istimrari. What does istimrar mean? Continuous. So kana ya'muru, he always used to order. He constantly would command. This was his habit. That he would always tell his family, he would always tell his people that they should pray salah and that they should give zakat. This is what he always used to do. So what does it show? That he was very committed to salat, he was very committed to zakat himself, and he also commanded his family and people to do the same. What did we learn earlier? That when a person loves something for himself, then he will definitely love it for his children, for his family. Whatever you like for yourself, that's what you're going to like for your family. So when a person wants deen for his family, what does it show? His love and commitment for the deen. So he was very committed to the deen. وَكَانَ يَأْمُرُ أَهْلَهُ بِالصَّلَاةِ وَالزَّكَاةِ وَكَانَ عِنْدَ رَبِّهِ مَرْضِيًّا. And he was near his Lord, one who is pleasing. Many times it happens that people are very practicing themselves, and they will also be preaching. They will also be busy in guiding other people. But they ignore their own family. They ignore their own children. They ignore their own spouses. This is not correct. This is not right. Because if you really like the deen, if it's really a part of you, if you're really dedicated to it, then you will also share it with your family. And we see this theme repeatedly in the surah. Zakaria a.s. wanted it for his son. Ibrahim a.s. wanted it for his father. This is very important. That we have to want the deen for our family as well. وَكَانَ عِنْدَ اللَّهِ مَرْضِيًّا. Now we see over here that especially, what did he do? He used to tell his family to pray salah and to give the zakat. Now many times what happens? We wait for others to wake us up for Fajr. Right? We wait for others to tell us the time of salah has come. That's also okay. You're making sure that you pray and you have asked other people to wake you up. But who is better? The one who wakes other people up. So if you have to get up first to wake other people up, don't think that it's unfair. It's not unfair. It's of the Sunnah of the Prophets of Allah that they used to tell people. So, after being concerned for ourselves, we also have to be concerned for our families, for those who are around us. And especially with regards to salah. We learned that Zakaria a.s., he was concerned about his mawali. What did he say? وَإِنِّي خِفْتُ الْمَوَالِيَ مِنْ وَرَائِي. Ibrahim a.s., he invited his father. Musa a.s. made dua to Allah to make his brother a partner. Ismail a.s. وَكَانَ يَأْمُرُ أَهْلَهُ بِالصَّلَاةِ وَالزَّكَاةِ. And the Prophet ﷺ as well, what was he told to do right at the beginning? To announce the message to who? To his closest family members. وَأَنذِرْ عَشِيرَتَكَ الْأَقْرَبِينَ. Those who are closest to you. So if we truly love our family, if we truly love our relatives, then alongside their dunya, we also need to be concerned about their akhirah, about their deen. وَاذْكُرْ فِي الْكِتَابِ, and mention in the book, Idris alayhi salam. Who was he? إِنَّهُ كَانَ, indeed he was, صِدِّيقًا, a man of truth, just like Ibrahim alayhi salam, and he was also a nabiyyan. He was also a prophet of Allah. Who was Idris alayhi salam? It is said that Idris alayhi salam was the great-grandfather of Nuh alayhi salam. So he came before Nuh alayhi salam. It is also said that his actual name was Ikhnuch, and his title was Idris. And what does Idris mean? Idris is from Dal Ra Sin, Dars. So Dars is to study, to read. So Idris is Kathir ad-Dars, one who studies a lot, one who reads a lot, one who writes a lot. And it is said that he was given this title because he was the first one to use the pen. He was the first human being to use the pen. Just imagine. This was a time before Nuh alayhi salam, so he was the first one to write. He was also the first one to use a needle. Yes, there was a time when it was invented. And he was the one who used it first. And he also invented the scale. This concept of weighing things. So he is the one who invented this. It is also said that he was an expert of hisab, of account keeping, or you could say math. He was an expert in this field. And he was also the first prophet after Adam alayhi salam. Adam alayhi salam was the first prophet, and after him, Idris alayhi salam was the prophet, and then after him, Nuh alayhi salam was the first Rasul. He was the first messenger. So وَاذْكُرْ فِي الْكِتَابِ إِدْرِيسَ إِنَّهُ كَانَ صِدِّيقًا نَبِيًّا. So what do we learn about Idris alayhi salam? That he was a prophet who had many skills. Many skills. And this is something very necessary. Sometimes when we focus only on the deen, we neglect all other skills. If we want our children to become huffaz, if we want them to become those people who memorize the Quran, who are very good in their knowledge of the deen, then we neglect other qualities. Both are necessary. Especially when a person wants that your children should become very refined, when you want that your children should be successful, when you want that your children should be effective in whatever that they do, all types of skills are necessary. And you see over here what is mentioned? The needle, writing, similarly the scale. But many times people don't pay attention to such things. Right? Similarly when it comes to cooking, I don't cook, I only know how to study. I love studying, I love reading, I love writing, I can write long essays. Don't tell me to cook, don't tell me to clean. This is something that I can't do. No, all these skills are necessary. Because think about it. If you're busy studying and you're hungry, what are you going to eat? Are you always going to expect other people to cook food for you? How long will that happen? How long will you depend on other people? You should be independent. And for that reason, learning all of these skills is extremely necessary. And remember that when you're learning these skills, when you're practicing these skills, worldly skills, if your niyyah is that you want to be effective in your work, inshallah, even that act will be an act of worship. Remember that. So, don't neglect these things, because sometimes when we come towards the deen, we neglect every other thing. Yes, we should be focused on our studies, on our religion, but at the same time, these skills are also necessary to make us more effective. So, وَاذْكُرْ فِي الْكِتَابِ إِدْرِيسَ إِنَّهُ كَانَ صِدِّيقًا نَبِيًّا. But we see that the title that he was given was still of what? Regarding his study, regarding his reading and writing. Not stitching and other things, but he was given the title of Idris. وَرَفَعْنَاهُ, and we raised him مَكَانًا عَلِيًّا, to a high station, to a very high position. He was of a very exalted position. What was that exalted position? Some have said this refers to prophethood. That he was given prophethood. This is what مَكَانًا عَلِيًّا refers to. There are some narrations that state that Idris a.s. was raised up to the heavens just like Isa a.s. was. That بَلْ رَفَعَهُ اللَّهُ with his body and soul. Similarly, Idris a.s. was also raised up in the same way. But some of these narrations, they are reported to be weak. So, we learned that the Prophet ﷺ, when he went on the night journey, when he went on the Mi'raj, on the ascension, he saw various prophets at various samawat. Remember? And he saw Idris a.s. in the 4th heaven. So we see that makanan aliyya, perhaps it refers to that high position that he was given. Because every prophet was not shown to him at a particular sama. Only some were shown. Right? So Idris a.s. was amongst them. وَرَفَعْنَاهُ مَكَانًا عَلِيًّا. أُولَئِكَ, those are the ones who, meaning all of these prophets were mentioned over here. Zakaria a.s., Yahya a.s., Maryam a.s., Isa a.s., Ibrahim, Ismail, Idris, and also Ishaq and Yaqub. All of these prophets are who? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says they are alladhina, they are those people who an'amallahu alayhim. Allah blessed upon them. Every day we pray, اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم. So Allah says, these are the people whom we blessed them. Bless them with what? With hidayah, with guidance. We bless them with various blessings of deen as well as dunya, as well as akhirah. أُولَئِكَ الَّذِينَ أَنْعَمَ اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِمْ. So if you want to know what the right way is, what do you need to do? Follow the way of these prophets. So look at their characteristics, look at their qualities that are mentioned over here. And if a person develops these qualities, then inshallah, he is on the Sirat al-Mustaqim. He is on the Sirat of الَّذِينَ أَنْعَمْتَ عَلَيْهِمْ. And amongst these qualities is of what? Siddiqiyya. To be truthful. To be honest. To be dedicated. To be committed. These are necessary qualities. أُولَئِكَ الَّذِينَ أَنْعَمَ اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِمْ مِنَ النَّبِيِّينَ. They are of the prophets. Meaning, these are all of the prophets of Allah. And these prophets of Allah, who are they? Are they some other kind of creation? No. Allah says, مِن ذُرِّيَّةِ آدَمَ. They're from the children of Adam alayhi salam. They were human beings. Just like you're a human being, they were also human beings. Typically, what do people say? Oh, they were prophets. They were Siddiq. How can we be? Oh, they had such a high hope because they were prophets of Allah. How can we have such hopes? No. They were human beings. You can also have these similar qualities. And if it was impossible for us to develop these qualities, then Allah would not have mentioned these to us. He would not have told us that these are the people whom Allah blessed. No. If only because it's possible for us to strive to develop these qualities, this is why He has shown us this way. Min zurriyati Adam. They're from the children of Adam alayhi salam. وَمِمَّنْ حَمَلْنَا. And also from those whom we carried مَعَ نُوحٍ with Nuh alayhi salam. Where? In the ship. Meaning more specifically from the descendants of Adam alayhi salam. Who are they? From the descendants of Nuh alayhi salam. Because remember, Nuh alayhi salam is also known as Adam al-Thani, the second Adam. Because all the people after Nuh alayhi salam came from his progeny. وَمِن ذُرِّيَّةِ Ibrahim. And from the children of Ibrahim alayhi salam. From Nuh alayhi salam, prophethood went into the descendants of Ibrahim alayhi salam. Wa Israel, and Israel specifically. Who is the title Israel of? Yaqub alayhi salam. That we see that Zakaria alayhi salam, Yahya alayhi salam, these prophets were from the descendants of who? Yaqub alayhi salam. وَمِمَّنْ هَدَيْنَا. And those whom we guided. وَجْتَبَيْنَا. And we chose. إِذَا تُتْلَى عَلَيْهِمْ. When it is recited upon them. What is recited upon them? Ayatul Rahman, the verses of the Most Merciful. What happens to them? خَرُّوا سُجَّدًا وَبُكِيًّا. They fall down as ones prostrating. Sujjadan is a plural of sajid. وَبُكِيًّا. And as ones who are crying. It is said that buki is a plural of baki. And it's from the root letters ba, kaf, ya. And buka is to cry, to weep. But it is such crying in which there is no sound. A person is crying, tears are coming out of his eyes. However, he does not wail. He does not make loud noise. We see that when it comes to both laughing and crying. What kind of laughing or crying are liked? in which there is no sound. It doesn't mean that laughter or giggling is not permissible. What is preferred is that even when a person laughs, he does not laugh too loud. Why? Because when we laugh too loud, then it makes us heedless. It makes us forget our purpose. And if we continue laughing loudly, then what happens? Sometimes you will see that if you laugh too loud, children become scared. They do. Right? If you cry loudly, children become scared. It's not natural to do things like this. It should be in moderation. So we see over here that when they used to hear the ayat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, خَرُّوا سُجَّدًا وَبُكِيًّا, they would fall down in prostration, weeping, crying. What do we learn in this ayah? The prophets of Allah are mentioned. That all of these prophets, who were they? They were those whom Allah blessed. They were those whom Allah guided. They were those whose hearts were soft. Those who were affected by the ayat of Allah. That when the ayat were recited, they would begin to cry. They would fall down in prostration, humbling themselves before Allah. This shows to us, first of all, that all of the prophets, they conveyed the same message. And what is that message? The worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Being humble before Allah. خَرُّوا سُجَّدًا وَبُكِيًّا. This was the message that was conveyed by all of the prophets. And it also shows to us that all of the prophets must be believed in. Because all the prophets are mentioned over here indirectly. From the descendants of Ibrahim, from the descendants of Nuh, from the descendants of Adam alayhi salam. So all of the prophets must be believed in without any differentiation. And from the descendants of Ibrahim alayhi salam and Israel, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَمِمَّنْ هَدَيْنَا وَاجْتَبَيْنَا. And from them we guided and we also chose. What does it show? That from the descendants of Ibrahim and Israel, some were chosen, some were guided, and others were not chosen. They were not guided. When Ibrahim alayhi salam made dua, قَالَ وَمِن ذُرِّيَّتِي, that, oh Allah, also choose my children. What did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say? لَا يَنَالُ أَحْدِ الظَّالِمِينَ. My promise is not for those who do wrong. So what do we see? That yes, these prophets were blessed. However, there was also effort on their part. There was also iman that was in their hearts. There was also feeling that was in their hearts. Which is why when the ayat were recited, you could see some reaction. They felt it. It wasn't that yes, they said we believe and yes, we teach and we preach. No. They had it in their hearts. So until a person puts an effort himself, he will not attain a high rank. Just by being associated with righteous people. Just by having a good title. That is not enough. What is necessary? That iman must be alive in the heart. It must be alive in the heart. And what's the sign of that? That when the ayat of Allah are recited, a person becomes humble. He begins to weep. We learn elsewhere as well. وَيَخِرُّونَ لِلْأَذْقَانِ يَبْكُونَ وَيَزِيدُهُمْ خُشُوعًا. And they fall upon their faces weeping, and the Qur'an increases them in humble submission. Put in the effort to cry. Put in the effort to make yourself humble. Feel the ayat. Because until a person's heart does not shiver, until a person does not feel, then the Qur'an cannot enter his heart. And when the Qur'an does not enter, then change cannot come. Emotion has to be there. You may have noticed that whatever hits you, whatever you feel in your heart, that is what you remember. Isn't it? That's the change that comes into you. So this shows to us that we should increase in our recitation of the ayat of Allah. We should increase because إِذَا تُتْلَى عَلَيْهِمْ. We should increase in listening to this recitation so that it can have an impact on our heart. Because only when there's an impact, then there can be change.